Welcome, friends, to the Someone Gets Me podcast. I am your host, Dianne A, and I am so delighted that you're here. This podcast was created because I believe there is a visionary leader inside each one of us who is waiting to be seen. In each episode of Someone Gets Me, you will hear useful tips from successful visionaries who will share their stories about how being seen has allowed them to take their vision out into the world with action. How to bring out your creative genius as a gifted adult. Hi, friends. It's Dianne here at Someone Gets Me. And today we're talking about bringing out your genius as a gifted person, a neurodivergent person, somebody with ADHD, those of us that are outliers. We all have a creative genius within us, just waiting to burst forth and emerge into our world. In fact, I just got off of a meeting with one of my clients that I'm working with, and I've been mentoring this young man now for about a year, and we have been working on all kinds of amazing things. And I have goosebumps telling you this story that he opens the call with, "I have figured out my genius." He has seen and can understand and feel who he is as a gifted adult with neurodivergence. He's amazing, and he always was masking or having a difficult time really knowing in his soul who he really is. And it's there. It's landed. He has landed with all the work he's done on himself, with the understanding that he has some special, unique ways of expressing his genius, and that he's happy to live in his genius. Now, he comes from gifted family, and all of them have amazing gifts and gifted qualities as neurodivergent people, but they're all different. And part of his issue was he was comparing himself to them and comparing himself to what others thought or what he thought others wanted. But now this young man has brought it all home and is in the process of integrating the power of his own creative genius. He's an amazing writer. He's a musician playing a couple different instruments. And he's a great orator. When he speaks and talks and asks questions, you want to listen to him because he's wise beyond his years. So this episode is to remind all of us that what this young man is living right now is something that we all either have lived or are living, or can realize that we can bring forth our creative genius at any time. Needs our permission. And we need to be able to say yes to who we are, to our vision, and to our calling. So the first thing I want to talk about here, there's a few things about how to do this, right? Is we want to reclaim the parts of us that kind of went in the basement. Now, we know that probably when you were younger, and I know this happened to me when I got really hurt, my feelings got really hurt. I remember saying, I'm never going to feel that pain again. I'm never going to let anybody hurt me that way again, whether it was emotionally or whatever it was. And so part of us goes underground, part of us goes into the basement. And so for most people, we do that over time until we start waking up and realizing we have to heal or rectify all those pieces of us that we've put away. Some people have left lots of different parts of their own being hidden for so long, or seemingly lost or fragmented. And so the first step to bringing your genius forward is to start to reclaim those parts of you. You can hear about it like when people talk about inner child work, or reclaiming your identity, or understanding who you are. And there's lots of different therapies and models to do that. And I do a lot of that deep work with my clients. And we want to understand that when you're a creative genius, sometimes just surviving childhood, no matter how great it was, can be tricky. Because when you're very sensitive and you have intensities and you see the world differently, then we don't fit in. Things can be very tricky sometimes, right? So it's not about blame, and this isn't about looking at, oh, this is wrong. It's about realizing that in order to survive when you're highly sensitive and you have intensities, then you might have put part of you underground. You kind of can tell when that's happened because you dim your light, you play small maybe, or you mask, you hide your expressions, or maybe you over adapt and become overly perfectionistic, or lose some of your natural originality and kind of try to play the middle ground, if you will. And sometimes you can see the creative part of you trying to come out, trying to reemerge, and you kind of get restless or irritable. Sometimes I kind of feel a little bored, or you'll wake up in the middle of the night with an idea or an emotion, and you're wondering where it's coming from. Well, that's that inner part of you that's always been there trying to show back up. That's that part of you that you've buried, trying to come back up. And so you can never lose who you are. You can never lose that creative genius. You might be out of touch with it. You might not know where to find it, but you can't lose it. So it tries to emerge in ways to get our attention. So when I hear a lot of the great creative people I work with go, "Oh, I'm not creative anymore, and I don't know what to do, and I feel kind of flat," I want to remind you that all of those are just signs that there's a part of you that you've kind of put away, you've hidden. And now it's time for you to say, all right, let me see if I can slowly let parts of these start coming up. Let me see how that can work in my favor. The second thing we want to understand is that your creativity as a gifted person operates differently than a lot of other people. You have intense sensitivities. There's depth, there's connection, there's nuance that is not understood by some of the common populace simply because you're divergent and different. You have to have challenges and novelty and freedom to do all the cool things that you want to do, right? And so it's so important. I think it's so important that we realize that our biology and our giftedness and the way our minds flow is not the common way most people do it. And so we might feel like outliers, and we might get made fun of. I've been laughed at, I don't even know how many millions of times. Like, you're weird, you're this. Well, no, I'm not weird. No, it is true that I have some gifts that other people can't understand. I didn't even understand them at first. So we want to understand within ourselves that there's that. That's mental understanding. But then we want to have that knowingness. We want to drop into our heart, into our soul, and know who we are. Know that our intense sensitivities bring us greatness. And that's where our creative genius is. We want to know the role our sensitivities and our intensities play in our emotional depth, in our spiritual connection, our intuition, and in our ability to ask discerning questions. Our sensitivity is a superpower in these situations, right? We want to understand that when we are often brainstorming and stuck in our head with other people, it can kind of not feel very fulfilling to us because it's so unidimensional. We, as neurodivergent gifted people, love to go deeper. And so it's important that we bring what's in our head deep into our emotions and our soul. We want to learn our own conditions for creativity, like in what setting, in what way am I most creative? For me, I'm most creative first thing in the morning. I love to write and journal, and I can do like close my eyes a little and just kind of write with my eyes closed and see what's happening. I have a client I work with that just picks up his guitar and allows his body to play and sing and create music that he's probably never heard before. Maybe sometimes there's parts of it, right? And then there's parts of us that want to have the conditions of being emotionally safe and sharing what is intimate in us that comes out as a creation with safe people. That's the point of having a support group or people in our corner that will honor us for our creative venues. They'll honor us for what we do creatively, whether they like it or not. They don't have to like the kind of music you're playing in order to honor your creativity, right? So it's very important to realize that your deep sensitivity is where the beauty is. Your ability to take what's in your mind and allow it to lovingly come into your heart and let your heart and your mind come together in this beautiful dance so that things can be integrated and then emerge through you. That's your creative genius right there in action. Now, the third thing that I think is important for us to do, some people don't want to do. So you may not want to do this, but I suggest you do it. And that is clear the energetic blocks. Get rid of the thinking that's I can't. The negated words, they have no use here. There's that part of us that energetically blocks our goodness whether it's because we're shut down or we're overwhelmed or overloaded, or we don't believe that we deserve the good life that we're trying to go for. We have a definition of success that doesn't work. Maybe we have an identity about who we think we are that's misaligned. But those energy blocks are real killers. They will stifle who you are every time. A lot of the work I do with my people is also similar work to what I've done with myself, of understanding the impact of like chronic stress, or if you're one of those people who's always a people pleaser, right? Or the fatigue of just having to deal with the world. I have a client that just gets tired of dealing with people. I call it social fatigue, right? It's just too peoply out there. We laugh about it, but that fatigue can get in the way. It can create an energy block. Energy blocks also come in the form of doing what's acceptable or trying to please everybody else and do the right thing, those kinds of things. So it's so important that we realize that we are allowed to identify what's going on and release the internal critic, release the things, let them go that don't serve us anymore. And the language in your mind, the mindset of not measuring up, not being good enough, being an outlier, and therefore it's bad, those things are things that are no longer of any use. It's time to let them go. So we want to understand too that being busyness, right? Not necessarily going anywhere, like a rocking chair, rocking a lot and not getting anywhere, right? And overachieving and comparison, all those things are energy blocks. So I have a friend of mine who loves to stay busy, and it's not always productive. That's an energy block. I do a lot of things, and sometimes it's busy as an energy block, and sometimes I'm doing a lot of fun things. So we have to discern that, right? We have to ask ourselves in our heart and our soul, is what we're doing aligned? And then we want to understand that we can have what I would call micro restoration times, recovery times, where we have creative rest during the day, where we can do things that reconnect us or ground us. When I take my dog for a walk, I will always try to stop and maybe lean on a tree or admire the green, or look up at the sky. And in the morning when I walk her, and it's often dark, the clouds and the stars are just always beautiful with the dark sky. And it gives me a moment to be grounded, a little micro restoration time to reset. I do it during the course of the day with yummy tea to drink, or having a conversation with somebody, or just closing my eyes and feeling my own breath and offering gratitude for that. It's just really amazing. It's just amazing. And so the fourth thing is that we want to have a world that works with us, not against us. And I think this is kind of fun because the world itself may not be on our pattern, our time frame. I love to get up really early, be creative first thing in the morning, have kind of a quiet midday, and then I have a creative burst in the evening. Not everybody does that. Some people, when they hear how early I get up, go, oh my, but I love it because it's quiet and beautiful. So what is your ecosystem? When is your creative genius most alive? Is it morning, afternoon, evening? What creative rituals do you have? Like, do you have a special pen you journal with? Do you have a special journal? What about a sketchbook? Do you sketch or draw? What kinds of things do you set up for your senses? Like maybe aromatherapy, or what kind of lighting do you have, right? What about the space? Like I have to have a desk that's big enough for me to kind of spread out. I can write on my lap, but I prefer a desk where I can spread out. In fact, I bought a bigger dining room table than I need that has leaves in it so I can spread out when I'm doing a project. And then what time works for you, right? Like, when are we going to have protected, dedicated time for our own growth, for our own spiritual and creative genius to show up? When are you going to do that? We want to have protected, dedicated time. So we have that safe setup. I always have great smells, and my tea is important. So what's important to you? People look at me and go, I don't like tea. You don't have to like tea. What do you love that gives you the sensory experience that grounds you into what's good and right for you? We want to embrace the fact that not all schedules work, and that we don't want to suffocate our genius, but we also don't want to be just flailing in the wind. We have to have some kind of scaffolding, some kind of structure to help us move forward and do what is ours to do. We also want to have inspiration in our planning. Like I do time blocks and I make them colorful and pretty, and I give myself permission to adjust things as necessary. All of these things are vital and important when it comes to our creative genius coming out. We want to allow collaboration so that we're expanded. So I have people in my world that love to give me their input. I wouldn't call it collaboration. And I can feel my inner self want to shrink a little bit. So when it comes to my creative genius, I prefer to share what's happening with me with people who will support the expansion versus the contraction. So we want, most importantly, as we get ready to end this show, okay, we want to integrate. We want to integrate our creative genius, our way to express things, and how our creativity shows up in the world. Because all of us come here to this world with a great creative genius. You're not listening to my voice by accident. And I'm reminding you, I'm sure, of your own genius. And I'm probably also reminding you of the places where you've kind of been taking it for granted or ignoring it. So now it's time to move from our imagination and bring things into form, into projects or writing or creating a leadership model or creating your legacy, paying attention to your legacy. It's also time to allow yourself to honor the cycles, planting in the spring, growing in the summer, reaping harvest in the fall, and resting in the winter. And it can be with the actual seasons, or it can be a seasonal based on your own projects. But it matters that we pay attention to the circular and organic nature of things. So I ask you, how does your creativity emerge through you in a soul-aligned way? How is your vision and your purpose part of your contribution to your life and this world? How is it? I know it's very exciting, right? So these are just some of the many things. I could go on and on and on. But the truth is, it's time for you to, when this show ends, to stop for a moment, take a few breaths, and allow yourself the time to look within at your own creative genius. Recall some of the things I said. Allow that imagination to start coming through and give yourself permission to put form to the brilliance that's within you. Because remember that shrinking or hiding that brilliance cheats you and it cheats everyone else. And I think it's time that we bring our brilliance forward. So as always, feel free to make a discovery call with me because I'd love to talk to people about these things, and I'm happy to do that with you. It's a complimentary 30 minutes with me. You can join me at the Different by Design retreat where we will dive into some of these other things, and always know that you are beautiful and you are lovable and you are capable, and I believe in you. So remember to keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you because you're a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there and let your light shine. And remember, until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well. Thank you for listening. I trust you gained some valuable inspiration and information. Please join me and other visionaries in the Someone Gets Me Facebook group. Or for more information on my services and additional episodes, visit someonegetsme.com. Again, thanks for listening.